Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Mentium podcast. Today I have the honor and the privilege of welcoming a beautiful young lady inside and out, somebody who's going places, and her name is Whitney Balusi. Whitney, welcome to Mentium.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Thank you for accepting our invitation. Whitney is the author of Firstborn Daughters. This book, look, I was very, very pleased reading it. The penmanship is crazy. It is wonderful. It is beautifully written. If you want to treat yourself with the good read in this holiday season, I suggest you head over to Amazon and pick up this book. Whitney, welcome, as I said, to Mentium podcast. I want you to start by telling us who you are, your story, where you came from, and how did all of this come about?
Thank you so much, Professor Majama. My name is Whitney. Whitney is a firstborn daughter, just as the book suggests. I am a daughter of the African soil. I'd like to refer myself as that because that's where I come from, specifically from Kenya. And my journey to the United States has been nothing short of a miracle. We migrated here through a green card. We all know how hard that is to get, but we are here. And that is my journey. And I've always seen myself as someone who's going far. You know, sometimes we have to speak life to ourselves before anybody does.
Absolutely.
So I've always seen myself, even before I get there, I've always seen myself to be something of value into this American soil. And so that is Whitney, a firstborn daughter. I have two sisters behind me. And just as the book suggests, there's burdens and there's weights.
Absolutely.
That are always weighed or put on the shoulders of firstborn daughters. But it's not a bad thing at all. It's just a reality that we first have to be aware of and see how we can navigate that as we become what we need to become.
I am already tempted to ask you to tell me about life in Kenya before you moved in here, but I guess it is also in the book. So what I would ask you instead is, when did it become very clear to you that your story needed to be told this way?
I believe right from when I was living in Kenya, the circumstances around where you were brought up really just shows you that there's going to be a story that you will one day write. I lived in an environment that was really, resources were really scarce. And I knew that I needed to become something, you know, that will eventually help my family come out of that. So it shapes you. It makes you know that eventually there's going to be a story that you'll write. So I would say it's all based on circumstances, not a bad thing again. That's where we never choose where we want to be born. You find yourself there, and it's up to you to decide how you want to shape your story. Yes.
Look, I don't want to spill the beans about the book. I want people to buy it and read it. So I would mostly ask you about like the reasons. So because when I was reading the book, what I discovered is that there are many forms of writings that you combine. Why did you think writing letters was one of the most important part for you to tell the story and just not narratives?
That dives into a very emotional piece that inspires the whole writing. You know, we all go through a lot of things, and we most of the times look for a shoulder to lean on. And even sometimes you want a hug, but you can't really get that physical hug. So I thought through letters, somebody might feel that comfort, just to make them feel like they're not alone into this journey. And one thing that I emphasize on the book, it's not for comparison. It's not for you to look at your story and compare it with somebody to find comfort. It's just for you to be aware that somebody else is going through that, not necessarily to compare, but just to know that, you know, this is something that a lot of people have gone through. And together, that fostering that unity, that together we can overcome. If somebody else went through it, I can also overcome it. But not, there's a thin line. It's not for comparison at all. It's just to know that we are in all this together and we can overcome something like that. And so I was seeking to include something that will make somebody feel that closeness, that hug that they can't get physically, because they've been longing for it, especially when we're firstborn daughters. You're forced to be strong always, right? The strong one. You can't. I can't go to my sister that follows me and ask them for a hug. Sometimes it's really hard. But I felt like there's gonna be a hug that somebody might need through these letters that I will include in the book.
Is that where you talked about the silence and the pain? Like being a firstborn daughter was such a strong burden. Like people will see you as the strong one. Therefore, if you ask for help, it might be seen that as a failure.
Exactly. And that is really vividly and very much emphasized in the book, because we already come out as leaders, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
And whether it might take you a long time to understand that you're a leader intuitively or inherently, right? It might take you a long time, but that is the nature of things. You'll come in as a leader, and one thing about leadership, we know it's another dynamic by itself, right? One thing about leadership is a lot of people are looking up to you. You're supposed to be the strong one. You're supposed to be the pillar that people are looking up to. And you're told that the voice is very almost audible within the back of your head that you cannot fail. You cannot look at somebody for help because you're the one we are looking up to.
Look, one thing that was absolutely striking to me is how beautifully written this book was.
Thank you.
But also, like, can you tell me then more about, like, where did you get to be this good in writing and even like in expressing yourself, given that you are not a literary student?
That's true.
You tell me about your studies a little bit.
See, that's a tricky question, Professor. I have not taken any literature. I don't have a background in literature, but I guess a little bit of what I've done with school has kind of, perpetuated what I have right now and my ability to write. I've always been a person who has a mind of exploring, wanting to learn more, wanting to observe more.
Yes.
And I think that kind of brings in all together my ability to put pen to paper and write. And I would say one thing also, and as I mentioned in the book, this book is open to everyone, irrespective of your religion, denomination. But one thing that has helped me for sure is the wisdom that God has given me. We all want wisdom. We go about chasing so many things to find wisdom. And we can all attest that books alone cannot give you wisdom. It's not just about what you read. Wow. It's more about, it has to tie back to a supernatural power. And
Absolutely.
That for me has been God.
Yes.
Even when I was writing, I would pause a few times and I'm like, wait, did I write that? Is that me? And how ideas just kept flowing.
Yes.
And based on the experiences that I've gone through, growing up and again, being the leader, nothing less is expected of you. Anything that you decide to put your hands on kind of has to come out perfectly. So I think that is what has really helped me.
Can you talk to me about your studies?
Oh, Majama, thank you.
Look, the reason why I want people to understand this is that to make the stark difference from like your world, what you do day in and day out, and being able to take off the coat that you were wearing when you were there and almost like spouse or you take this literally journey like nobody's business. That's the reason why I want people to understand what you do.
We just had this discussion before, setting up this cameras.
Okay.
I came into, this professional world wanting to be a doctor, and that is highlighted in the book.
Yes.
But then, that ties back to what the society really expects from you.
Yes.
And for me, for the longest time before I kind of came to discover who I want to be, my dreams, my aspirations always tied to what my parents wanted me to be.
Absolutely.
And that was perfect.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any confrontation in there because I'm aligning to what they want. But then things change along the way. So
how so?
I don't know. I just feel like maybe I'm living a life that I'm not supposed to be living because I want to, maybe seek the approval from, the people around me, because I already say it out loud. And that's the disadvantage of saying your goals out loud, because people hold you to it. And
that is an advantage.
It could be a disadvantage sometimes because you're not allowed to change your mind.
Okay. Let me hear it.
I'm looking at it from that perspective, that I said this is what I want to be, but then I can't change my mind. And that goes back again to the burden of being a firstborn. You've said that this is the path that you want to follow. Why are you changing your mind again? You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that for me, at some point, depending on the perspective that someone looks at it from, and the one that I took was it became a disadvantage for me at some point.
Okay.
Because I was, I couldn't change my mind. But I got to a point where I told myself, this is my life, and I'm allowed to go cut corners sometimes until I get to a decision that I want to make for myself without external push or external factors. That
you can pivot.
Okay. And that's the beauty of getting to a point of discovering what you want to do. But that cannot happen in the beginning, because we're not allowed to do that as firstborns. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of rediscovering for you to get to a point and say, you know what, I respect what you want for me, but here's the boundary that I'm creating. And can you please allow me pivot a little bit? And maybe I can come back, but let me rediscover myself.
How is that comeback working out for you? Because I understand you almost became a doctor.
Almost
like a physician.
Almost became a doctor.
But now you're still in the same hospital environment, but doing something differently. Can you talk about that? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. After finishing my Bachelor's of Science, I did a Master's of Public Health.
Okay.
Still in health.
Yes.
But not what my parents envisioned. Because to them, that is not being a doctor. But I think I took it in and I was like, maybe this is the path that I need to follow. Maybe it will align in the future sometime.
Okay.
So I took that, and in that span of that time, I asked myself, how can I advance myself? How can I become better? Because I've always been that person who's seeking ways to better, yourself and all that. So I delved into DHA. So currently I'm doing a Doctorate of Health and Business Administration, which I feel still I've not arrived. And that's the beauty of the journey.
Yes.
Success is not a destination.
It is not.
Something that you keep
absolutely
going and going. And right now we were talking and I was telling you there's something that I still want to do,
Talk to me about stepping into your confidence. How did all of this came about when you know that, hey, this is me. I'm no longer following the path that was paved for me to walk on, but I am creating my own. And along with that vision, I want all firstborn daughters to know that they can choose to.
Professor, that's a very good question. And I think the first step to building your confidence starts with awareness. And knowing your starting point, knowing where you're at in life. First of all, you cannot put a building block on top of another unless you have realized the place that you're in. And that what that means really is first understanding that, hey, this is a burden. This has been a burden for so long. And it's until you acknowledge that you're able to build another block of basically self-awareness that leads you to the next level of defining what confidence is to you and stepping into that confidence. So first, starts with self-awareness and acknowledging where you're at.
Absolutely.
And acknowledging that this has been a burden for too long, and I'm no longer going to live in that burden. Because your eyes can't open until you realize that there is a problem, or there is a situation
Absolutely.
that you're dealing with, and you've been dealing with for too long. That only comes with acknowledgement first and self-awareness.
You know, this is something that I share almost everywhere that I speak or everywhere I talk to people. Like, in order for you to build anything, it needs to have a strong foundation. And that foundation for the person is you.
True.
So self-awareness, again, is one of those key emotional intelligence aspects that you need to master in order to fix anything.
That is true.
So, you know, I talked about letters earlier, but what I was really, really impressed about was how you can identify all those firstborn and put them in categories and talk to them personally. Like, how were you able to do that?
See, that's actually, I have so many favorite parts in this book, but that remains my favorite part, like out of all that I've...
The letters.
The letters.
Okay.
And the acknowledging that we come in many forms.
Yes.
We come in different shapes. Even those who, you know, feel like their family is functioning well, there's still a burden within that, you know, because you are supposed to appear as if everything is okay, because that's what people see out there. But within that, there's a burden that you only can feel as the firstborn daughter, because now your life cannot turn out differently from the picture and the image that your family has created. So it's not necessarily you having to have come from a family that is suffering, you know, or you having to turn out as a firstborn who was never your parents' pride. It's not about just the negatives. There's burdens that all firstborn daughters that exist out there can attest that they're carrying. And that is the beauty about this book, that it's acknowledging that if you are a firstborn daughter out there, there's a story for you in this book. There's a spot for you in this book that you can come and identify yourself with and tell yourself, wow, I see myself in this. I didn't even notice that I'm carrying a burden, but this has just highlighted that it's a burden. And for you to go back and look into your story and ask yourself, wow, how do I rise beyond that? Now that I've acknowledged, and coming back to building your confidence, now that I've acknowledged that there's a burden, how do I rise above that and step into the confidence that I need to walk in?
I'm almost tempted to ask this. Like, you paint this picture, you talked about the burdens,
yes,
mostly, and trying to get people to understand that yes, they matter, even though there's the pressure.
Yeah.
But what I want to ask you is that what would be the privileges of a firstborn, if there are any?
The idea that you come first. Not a lot of people come first. And we know what happens when you're first in line, you know?
Yes.
You're able to, you walk through the thorns that people haven't gotten the chance to walk through, and you have a better experience. And therefore, as a leader, you can go back and teach your siblings and tell them, hey, this is the path that I took, and I don't want you to take that path.
But is leadership a privilege or a responsibility, though?
Could be both, depending on how you look at it.
Can you explain
But in both of them, there's beauty.
Yeah.
Responsibility in the sense that, yes, I'm carrying a weight. But then the book talks about the realization that it's not about really the weight. Sorry, let me reverse this. So there's beauty in both of them, responsibility.
And privilege.
And privilege. The responsibility that you carry shapes you into unlocking another level of leadership that you probably walk in, because leadership in itself is also a journey. It's also a discovery. So you're carrying a weight that may weigh you down, but it's really unlocking another level that weight that you carried will help you overcome the challenges that are ahead of you. That's how I look at it. It's all about the mindset that you look at, you decide to look from.
And you almost sound like a philosopher.
Really?
Like, I'm about to say, who is this girl, man? Look, Letter 27 talked about the estranged firstborn. What does it mean?
Let's go to letter 27.
Yes.
Yes, it says, Dear Healing One.
Yes.
And I was very intentional on how I addressed every firstborn in each letter.
Yes.
I wanted to counter what the society has said you are. You know, there are those who are not their parents' pride. So you're the scapegoat. You never wanted to listen. I wanted to come and counter that and tell you that it is not about what they've said. It's you. The story now becomes yours.
Yes.
And you can rewrite it.
But my amazement was like, how could you imagine? You were only one firstborn daughter. You could only be one. Yeah. But you talked about the entrenched one, the healing one. That, like, what was it for you to discover all of those forms, to identify all of the types of firstborn and address them directly?
I guess it's from experience.
Okay.
Living in Kenya, same society, a lot of people carrying different weights. And you see that in this family, this person was seen as this kind. In this other family, there was this kind of daughter. In this other family, there was a daughter who parents said, other parents said, I don't want my kids to associate with that daughter. Because you didn't come out as expected. So it's based on the experience and just the exposure and understanding that, Professor, that we come in many different forms. It's not even about being a firstborn daughter or not. Even as a male, you could be the breadwinner in your family. When there's family meetings, you're the one whose points can be taken in, than your brother's points, because there's something you bring to the table.
Yes.
And then your brother doesn't bring anything to the table. Then why should we listen to him? Your brother also has a story. And mind you, this is a brother in the same family. So we can all exist in the same family, but our identity is different.
That is true.
Based on how society has made us appear or made us feel. But it's our responsibility to erase that, Professor. It's our responsibility. Nobody will do that for us.
No.
And so I wanted everybody to feel seen in these letters. I knew that if there is a daughter who is the pride of the family, then there has to be a daughter who's not the pride of the family.
Yes.
If there's a daughter who comes from a functional family, then there has to be a daughter who comes from a messed up family. So there's always a flip side of everything.
That is true.
And that is what really made me sit down and try to navigate and see what different types of daughters are out there, and how can we bring all of them in one space, with all these different experiences, have them sit and see how we can learn from one another. Remember, I said it's not for comparison.
Yes.
It's to know that there's so many different forms that we can come in, or appear as, but still there's beauty in everyone's story.
So when you say there is no comparison, are you telling them that they can run their own races?
Very possible. You take what you learn, not necessarily to apply to your life, but to look deeply and see, this happened to this person. How does it lay a path for me in a different perspective, in my own way of understanding things based on my experiences? Because I can take what I've seen you go through just to understand your story, but then not necessarily to apply it to mine, but just as a guide.
Look, again, I'm telling everybody, if you're watching this, head over to Amazon.com and look for The Firstborn Daughter. Because this was not just written in a whim, like it was deep reflection. Because I told you earlier that it could have been a narrative where maybe you just talk about your story, but for you to try to identify any types of firstborn and talk to them as if they were the only one who matters. That was the beauty of this type of writing. Now, I heard you earlier mentioning that there is a higher power. That's what brings me to the role or the place that religion occupies in this book. Can you talk to me about that?
Majama, I would say my entire life has been built around the glory of God, He's been my guide. He's been my light, and I cannot take credit for anything that I've done. That's why sometimes when you're asking these questions about how did this come about, sometimes I really don't have an answer, but I really have to find an answer for you. But
Wow.
it's really just God. I would say it's really God. But sometimes we have this controversy online that, hey, don't just tell me it's God. Show me how you did it. But in reality, Majama, there's really nothing I can say.
That is
it's
true.
God. But for the sake of the interview, we have to give them answers.
I hear you. You said something earlier that like struck me as if it was me talking. When you say sometimes you wrote something and then you were like, is this really me? Sometimes I do have conversation with people and I catch myself. Did I really say that?
Did I really say that?
So if it is not recorded, I might not even remember it. So that's when you know that there is a higher power speaking through you.
Yes, you got it spot on. There's a higher power that has led me from the start of this book. I remember I was on a plane coming back.
That's what I was about to tell you.
Coming back to Denver from a family
The
trip.
couple that you were
Yes.
talking to, yes.
And we just started having that conversation. And, as you said, you're talking to people and you don't know that you're imparting something in them.
Yes.
You really have no idea until they say it out and you're like, oh, really? So what I said was that meaningful? And at that moment, that's when I would say that the seed was planted. And on that plane coming back, I couldn't find sleep. I just started writing. And I remember the first word that I wrote is in the introduction of the book. Are you your parents' pride? Or that was the first sentence, and it was never erased. That seed that was planted by that couple built a momentum of me to continue writing and just having the flow of ideas, of course, by the help of this higher power that we're talking about, who is Jesus Christ.
Look, to be honest with you, when I was reading this, I could see that this didn't just like start overnight in you. It was information.
Yeah.
Throughout your childhood, throughout your upbringing, throughout your adulthood now.
Yeah.
But it took a flight to Denver.
Exactly.
For somebody to talk to you in a certain way, to light that fire again. Sure. And build the momentum that like we're seeing now.
That's true.
That give birth.
That's true.
To this book. But now that the book is out, what is the next step?
Wow. After finishing writing this book, I asked myself, now what? What's next? And that question really disturbed me because I didn't want to just write a book and then the money comes back to me.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. We all love money, but that wouldn't leave a meaningful impact out there. So I asked myself, what can I do with this book? How can it touch people in a different way than I had actually envisioned? And I told myself, you know what? Since this book is written for women, how can it support more women and bring them in a space where we can unleash other problems and layers of struggles that women go through? It doesn't even have to be struggles. It can be a conversation.
Yes.
We can have a conversation. From that conversation, we can uncover what we need to do as women together, coming together. That's why when I started writing the book, I had to acknowledge all kinds of firstborns out there. There's this kind of firstborn, there's this kind of first, to bring them together. So what's next for this book, really? I'm looking at potentially next year, supporting women in Africa, bringing them into a space where we can come in a room and tackle other situations and issues that women are facing. And this is tied back in the book of I think it's New Testament. The woman who was bleeding, she was seeking for something that will bring her healing. And at that time, it was the garment of Christ. As soon as she touched that, she was healed. And for us, in as much as this book is going to invite a lot of women into a space where we talk about these issues, we're tying it to a pad. I looked around and asked myself, what is something that brings women together? And it was the issue of bleeding, going back to the Bible, where we believe that this book will invite you in. And through that, a pad will also invite you in. A pad will be a point of contact that a woman will touch. And from that, we begin to uncover other issues that they're facing. And hopefully we can build a community of women who are rising together and redefining what success really means to them. Not based on what society has told them, not based of, sometimes even ourselves, we can be our own limitation. It doesn't have to be society. You look at yourself and you tell yourself, there's nothing I can really do. Those are things we're trying to counter. And I believe we can counter those things when we come together as women, understanding different issues that we face. And knowing that, she also went through that. Again, not for comparison, but just to that knowledge, to know that
yes,
I'm not alone in this. And I can craft my own success. I can craft my own becoming. And together we can be a society of women who, not only are we acknowledging our differences, but we are rising together.
It takes a lot to leave me speechless. But that's what you're doing right now. Because look, I have read so many books and listened to authors talk about whatever they wrote about.
Yeah.
But the way you articulate your thoughts is compared to none. Like,
thank you.
Look, this is beautiful because it came from a beautiful soul.
Thank you.
Like, people don't just create something out of nothing.
That's true.
Like, you are a rising star. And I truly believe that your name will be out there for people to know, because there is a lot of things in you that has not come out yet.
So kind of you.
I am honored to be part of this, to talk to you, ask you some stuff so that the world can realize that there is gem in this.
Wow.
And they will look for it. I'm not done with the book yet. Because there is the part where you talked about wellness and ladies. Can you unpack that for our viewers?
Wellness and ladies. Can you please elaborate on that a little bit? Because this book holistically touches on, rediscovering who you are, which leads to your own mental health and wellness overall. So
that was the wellness and healing. How important it is for them to actually heal. It's not just like going through the burden and then just let it at there. They need to take care of themselves. True. Because as I was sharing, self-care is not selfish.
That's true.
You have to take care of yourself first. Like going through a lot, being a firstborn, the burden, people expect you to be powerful. People expect you not to cry, all of those stuff. At a certain point, it adds up.
That's true.
And it has a certain weight on you. So when you talk about now wellness and healing, like how do they go about that?
That's a starting point for you to get to the next point of your becoming. Healing is paramount. Healing is important. You have to get to a point where you're telling yourself, I know I went through that. I know I went through a moment that really brought me down. But where I'm heading is important. If you look at it from that perspective that, yes, I acknowledge that I went through that, but I'm getting into a point where I want to see the best version of myself. Healing is necessary.
Absolutely.
Forgiveness is necessary. I got to a point where I had to forgive.
To let go.
Let go of my past.
Yes.
It shaped who I am.
Yes.
But it's not something that I need to keep holding on.
Absolutely.
I acknowledge it.
Yes.
I acknowledge my past. Self-awareness, acknowledgement that, yes, this is what I went through. But then for me to get to the becoming part of my life, which again is continuous, you're never going to get to a point where you say, I've fully become, because it is a continuous journey. But for you to even begin that continuous journey of becoming, healness, forgiveness, forgiving your past, and telling yourself, now I'm rising to who I needed to actually have been from the beginning.
Personally, where are you on that journey of becoming?
See, I can say I've built my confidence.
I can see that.
I've built my confidence. So I can say I am at the maybe early stages of becoming. Because the way I look at it, it is not a destination.
It is not.
Today I can feel like, oh wow, I got it. And then tomorrow I'm like, wow, I encounter a different situation that makes me feel like, wow, you know, I still need to be in that path of becoming.
This and knowing that it is on paper, it is done. Have you ever suffered from the imposter syndrome?
Oh, all the time.
How so?
All the time. Sometimes you know, and in the book I talk about how challenges, once you overcome a challenge, it does not mean that you're done. It really is unlocking another level because you're growing too.
That is true.
And in that level, you kind of meet some new demons that tell you, hey, maybe you're not good for this. Self-talk. Or, you know, you're like, oh my, will I overcome this?
Yes.
But you have to keep something in mind. The fact that you overcame the previous, you have the power within you to overcome that. So imposter syndrome will be there. Fear will be there, but it's your mindset. And the constant reminder, you know, reminding yourself constantly that if I overcame that, even this one I can.
If I did it before, I
can do it now.
That's the opposite of learned helplessness. And I was talking about this yesterday in our class. Learned helplessness is like you failing into something, and then you think because you didn't succeed before, you will not succeed again.
Wow.
So you just give up.
You just give up.
It is completely the opposite of what you were just describing. Whitney, on the book, you talked about the 25 lessons under 25. Is that so?
Yes.
Can you unpack that for our viewers?
You know, I'm looking at Majama here laughing because, you know, I'm sitting next to a well of knowledge because, you know, this guy is just profoundly wise.
Oh, no. Okay, thank you, but go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, you know, there's no experience that is little experience. Whatever you go through in life, there's something that you can say, pause and say, hey, I learned something from that.
Absolutely.
And so for within my past 25 years of existence in this world, I have gone through a lot, especially being a firstborn daughter with expectations, just basically what the book highlights. And in the book, I jotted down 25 lessons that I've learned. And one lesson that really, you know, sparked my attention anytime I grab this book to read is number 3 in the book. It says...
So you do read your book?
I do read my book sometimes.
See, I thought it was only me.
I do read my book. So that will be 24. Oh my God, I'm finding a hard time getting it.
No, you're good.
But we'll get there. That would be chapter 10. Yes.
Chapter 10.
25 lessons at 25. Number 3, which is very important in your becoming. And your redefining of what success really means as a firstborn daughter. Because most of the times we look around seeking approval for it to tell us, now you can rise up. Now you can get up and move. Until I say something, you cannot move. Number 3 says, build momentum within yourself. So you don't depend on a crowd to move.
Say it again.
Build momentum within yourself.
Yes.
So you don't have to depend on a crowd to
move.
Sometimes
that is powerful.
A lot of people in general cannot function alone. They need a group of people.
Yep.
They can't be in a silo or in a position where, you know, I need to take time for myself and think what my next step is. But we find the need to, you know, let me go to Majama and see what does Majama think about my life. What I'm talking about is different from seeking mentorship. This is more of, you cannot decide for yourself because you already come from a society that always set expectations for you. So you always feel the need to go back to the same society or to go back to the same people to seek approval. But here we are countering that and we're giving you a new perspective.
And even if that society is no longer there, you will find it in a person.
In a person or in another environment.
Exactly.
But here we're telling you that, you know, the power that you're looking for outside begins with you.
Absolutely.
It is first discovering that, hey, the decision and the trajectory that I want to follow can only be understood by me. Once I lay that, then I can seek mentorship. Because a mentor really can come in to help you, Majama, when you haven't really discovered what lies within you.
That's true.
There's something there. He will help you bring it out, but there's something there.
I'll even take it a little bit further. You cannot find that mentor unless you know what you actually want. You will be the one paying attention, because the mentor is somebody who's been there and done that.
Yes.
Like, in order for you to recognize one that might work for you, you should at least identify where you are heading in order to seek that mentor.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I like to tie things back to the Bible because that's what has brought me up and
Yes.
and made me become who I am today. You know, when we look back in the book of Genesis, around, I think, early chapters of the Bible, we see Joshua, who was given the mandate by God to, at some point, lead the people, continue with the journey to get them to the promised land, right? And when God looked down on Joshua, he asked him, "What do you have on your head?" And Joshua said, "I have a staff." Sometimes we want our mentors to pour into us when we don't have anything yet. You know, your hand is empty. Joshua had something that
Yes.
God used to part the sea. And sometimes we want to come, you know, yes, we've gone through that. Yes, you know, situations weighed us down. But that should not be an excuse. And that's what I highlight in the book, that we've all gone through it. And that's why I try to bring all the firstborns from every kind of experience, bring them together and know that we're all in this, but we cannot end there. So we have to find that momentum. It lies within us. You know, build that momentum within you, that other people are just coming to be an addition. You know, you have the staff already. It's in you. We all, as firstborn daughters, we all have that staff within us.
Absolutely.
And it's just a matter of time for us to realize it, you know, and bring it up to surface.
I was sharing with you earlier that in coaching, we believe that, like, everybody who's sitting across us is whole and complete.
That's true.
It is the same thing as you were saying. People in general, the firstborn daughters, in particular in this book, you are all whole and complete.
Yeah.
And what will take you to the next level is already within.
It's already within.
You just need to discover it.
You just need to discover it.
Go ahead.
Exactly.
That's beautiful.
Professor Majama, you've just
that's
you've laid it out the way, you know, I was
okay.
thinking about it.
So then let's talk about number 5, because you said confidence isn't noise.
Yes,
What do you mean?
confidence isn't noise. You know, sometimes we want to be loud so people can see I'm confident.
Yes.
You can be the quiet person in the room, but your head is up and observing. That in itself is confidence. It's the ability to know who you are in the room without other people pointing at you and say, "Hey, Professor Majama, you're confident." It starts with you. It's like, I know I'm confident. I don't need approval. I know what I bring. I know the journey that I've had to overcome. And that in itself gives me that confidence. So when I sit in a room, I don't need approval. I know I'm confident. So it is not noise. It is not me coming in the room with, you know, it's winter right now, with a big fur coat.
Yes.
So that I can catch the attention of other people so that they know I've arrived. Now, it's really within you. It lies within you. It's your identity. It's actually you getting to the point of knowing who you are. That in itself is confidence. That's why it's really quiet.
The title of this chapter itself is just amazing, like 25 lessons at 25. But you were talking like somebody who's 50 or even like 70. I mean, the wisdom is just amazing.
Well, maybe because I'm sitting next to you.
Look. In public speaking, I always tell people sometimes loud is not confidence.
That's true.
It's not just because you were the loudest in the room or you speak so loudly that you are confident. Sometimes it is masking that little child in you that you would like to cover.
Yes.
Whitney.
It's confidence is really misinterpreted a lot of times.
Well, this is what we were talking about just now.
It continues to say, Professor Majama, it says, walk with your head held high, not to be seen, but to see clearly. You see, it says, basically what it's saying is that you are the confidence. It is within you. It is not the people that I'm attracting. Because when you walk with your head up and you want people to see you, the focus shifts. Now it's on the people, not you. And you're not able to exercise that confidence the way it's supposed to be exercised, clearly or in a proper way. So it is really within you. It is not for Majama to see that I've arrived or I'm in the room. It is for me to see, scan around the room and position yourself well and know when to speak, when to be silent. It's really about you.
Whitney, wherever I learn something new, my first instinct is always, how can I teach it to other people? Are you willing to design a course around this book and teach the 25 lessons?
Of course, that would be an honor. I'll be delighted to do so.
I already have the platform.
Wow.
You designed the course, it will be available there. I'm telling you, I'm really serious.
Oh, wow. Thank
I
you.
talked to you about this.
I know.
I invited you in the platform. I
Yeah.
want you to design a course around this, because there are, look, and I'm talking to parents right now. If you have daughters, have them read this book. There will be powerful lessons that they can take away from this. But just, to rub off with somebody like you at your age, I think is phenomenal for the younger generation to look at you and see, if she can do this, I can do it too.
Exactly. What a privilege, Professor Majama.
Look,
Wow.
I know we can keep going,
Yep.
but let me ask you this. Who did you write this book for? Like, if you were sitting across somebody on a table and want to give them this book, who would that person be?
I wrote this book for the unborn child because I want this book to be generational. It carries lessons and ideas and thoughts, everything that we may want to understand about leadership, about coming out first. All of that is in this book. And I know that irrespective of the kind of family you come from, irrespective of how the society has labeled you to be, there's a redefining moment and space for you. And this book carries just that. That you can come out contrary to what people said. You can get to a moment and say, wow, I didn't even know I went through that. This book is for you. It's generational. That's why I made it part journal and part a reflective book. You can carry it over. You can write lessons. There's a part in this book that has spaces for you to write yourself a letter. And the letter that you write can impart your daughter to come or the future generation. That's why I said this book is for the unborn child. You have the privilege to read it, but it's something that your daughter or your niece, right, can read it. So yeah, Professor Majama, this is for the unborn child because I want it to be generational.
I was not expecting that answer at all. Whitney, you are amazing. Look, and like personally, I do not throw flowers at people. When I tell you you were something, that's what I really mean. And I do believe that the world is missing out if they're not reading this.
Oh, thank you so much.
You are going places.
Amen.
And what I know for certain is 10 years from now, this Whitney will be ruling.
Oh, wow. Amen.
I personally believe that without any doubt at all. So is there anything that you wanted to talk about that I didn't get a chance to ask you?
I think we unpacked everything, Professor Bajama. We talked about the shapes. If you're a firstborn daughter and you feel like there's no version of you in this book, I think that might not be true. This we unpacked everything. There's something for you. There's something for any kind of firstborn. You can relate to. You can go down the memory lane and ask yourself, how was my story like? And how can I become? How can I redefine? How can I rise from, what the society already said about me or my internal thoughts? Because some of these battles that we fight, we tend to lay fingers on other people when in reality, it's me stopping my success, and just making you understand, is it the society at this point or is it you? Because you can heal from what society told you, but then now you're stuck to your imposter syndrome. And as you mentioned once before starting this conversation, that things like fear, things like imposter syndrome, these are things that may persist for the longest. It is you to rise beyond that. Tell yourself, you know, I know, but the reason why I'm doing this is bigger than the fear. So I know, I can acknowledge, I can feel it, because there's so many times, you know, I've gotten ready to speak and I start feeling that fear. But then I ask myself, why exactly am I doing that? And as I stand to talk about what I need to talk about, the fear is still there, but the reason why I'm doing that
is
stronger than that fear. So you see, those imposter syndromes will be there. The fear will always be there, but it's the reason why we do what we do.
What a beautiful way to land this plane. Look, if you need somebody to empower your crowd, somebody to empower your audiences or your congregations or whatever you have, this young lady right here is the real deal. She will be able to do that just for you. So Whitney, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, thank you so very much for accepting our invitation. But also, I could not finish this without thanking my brother, somebody who's always there for me. Clovis, thank you so much for allowing us to shoot this in your studio with all the equipment yours. I mean, brother, thank you. If you guys need any recording for your events, for whatever that you need in terms of recording professionally, Clovis is your guy. And I will leave his number below, his website, YouTube channel, for you guys to discover the type of work that he does, so that together we can all lift this community up. Once again, thank you so much for joining me again. Until next time, take care of yourself and your loved ones. I am Majama, and this was Mentium. Peace.